Hello, empowered principals. Welcome to Getting Hired, the Empowered Principal Way. I am so honored to be here with you today. And I'm recording this as a meeting. So if you're here live, you can join right in and ask any questions that you have. Many of you who registered want to have the replay. So if you registered, you get access to the replay for 72 hours. And I am available in the Empowered Principal Facebook group to answer any questions you have about preparing for interviewing, the interview process, what to do before, what to do after, the mindset, the energetics of getting hired. I am here for it all because my goal in creating these master classes for you is to ensure that you get hired for the position that you want to be in. Okay. So let's dive in and get started. So for those of you who are brand new to the world of the Empowered Principal, welcome. So happy you're here. I invite you in, and it is an honor to serve you in this way and to provide you this masterclass on how to get hired, because we need people just like you, empowered principals, leading schools that are empowered as well. So welcome. If this is the very first time you're ever meeting me, I am so honored to be here. If you have been following me for a long time, that's amazing as well. If you're here live, drop a comment, say hello. Otherwise, I'm going to dive right in. So I want to highlight a little bit about this masterclass for you. So this masterclass is primarily for aspiring school leaders. I'm going to focus on the person who wants to step into school leadership for the first time. Maybe you are a teacher and you're ready to take an admin position, or you're an instructional coach, or maybe you've been teacher on special assignment, or you have some kind of like teacher leadership role and you're feeling inspired and ready to take on an administrative role in school leadership. I'm primarily going to focus on you. But not to worry, if you're in a leadership position, but you're looking to get promoted or upgrade, or maybe you want to move to a different school, have a different school experience as a leader, you can still apply this work. It still is applicable to you. And if you tend to be an overthinker, an overplanner, an overpreparer, if that's you, this is your webinar. If you tend to get super nervous in the interview process, this webinar is for you. This masterclass is for you. If you tend to like overthink afterwards and you like analyze and you perseverate and you just like spin out and ruminate on what you should have said or what you didn't say or how you could have said it, or that you were really nervous and you kind of spin out in that, I'm going to talk about that as well. Okay. So welcome. So for those of you who are new to me, my name is Angela Kelly. I am a certified life and leadership coach for school leaders. I was an elementary teacher for many, many years. I taught preschool. I actually taught birth through fifth grade, primarily in the elementary ages. I was the coordinator for an early childhood and parenting program when I very first graduated from college back in the day in Minnesota. And I moved to California and I worked in different schools throughout my district. I was in my district for 22 years before deciding to transition into full-time life and leadership coaching for school leaders, because I saw this gap, right? I was a school leader who really struggled. I was a single mom in my first years as a school leader, and it was hard. My son had just transitioned into middle school. I had just transitioned into my very first admin role. I was opening a brand new school as a brand new principal, and they only allotted me 3 days a week on the job. So I was a part-time principal and a part-time, I was an RTI coach for the district. So I was actually doing 2 different jobs as a school principal. Can you imagine? And I was opening a school, a brand new campus, construction everywhere. It was intense. But through that experience, and then the 6 years following that experience and moving up into district leadership, I really saw a gap in coaching and mentorship and support for school leaders, particularly when it comes to the mental and emotional demands of this job. There's lots of technical skills out there. There's lots of books you can read and workshops you can take on leadership. I'm all for that. And what I offer is unique. I haven't seen it anywhere in the industry, which is mental and emotional support, mental and emotional regulation, mental and emotional prioritization, and balancing the demands of this job, because it is a tireless, relentless job. It has an endless to-do list and it has endless demands. And I want to support you in how to achieve that success as a school principal. Okay. So with that, here's what I want to make sure that we cover for today. There are 3 phases of the interview process, and I want to teach you how to approach each phase of that interview process. All right. We're going to identify some common mistakes that we tend to make when we're preparing for the interview and what you can do instead. Because I know, hey, look, we want to do our best. We tend to be educators and we want to go into school leadership because we're A+ students, because we love school, we love what it offers, we love the value of education, we appreciate it, we understand it, we live and breathe our work as educators to better the lives of students and our staffs and our families. And we want to be here today as educators and learn how to be the best version of ourselves without overworking, overexerting, and overscheduling and killing ourselves in the process. Okay. So I'm going to talk about how to save yourself from being chronically stressed out during the whole interview process, because it is a process. It does take some time, and it might take you a while to land the ideal job for you. And I'm going to talk about what that looks like. Okay. So one of the things we're going to need to do, and we're going to talk about this coming down the road here, is how to up-level your self-identity. Because when you go from being a teacher leader into an administrative leader, you're shedding an old identity and you're growing into, you're developing and trying on a new one. And there's a gap in how that feels. Okay. So we want to talk about how you identify as a school leader. And I also know the pain of going through the interview process. I've helped dozens and dozens and dozens of school leaders go through the interview process. And I know that what tends to be true is you might get a no. You might not land the job on your very first interview. And there comes some disappointment with that, and a little bit of heartbreak and a little bit of feeling sad. That's okay. I'm going to teach you all about that. Okay. And ultimately, what we're creating here is for you to have the capacity to go through those no's to land that yes and to get that job. And you're in a really great market right now because there is such high demand, but also the expectations are high. So we want to balance, like, yes, there's a high demand for school leaders, but there's a high demand for a school leader who is highly skilled, highly competent in their own management, in their time management, their balance management, their people management, their relationship management, their ability to prioritize their calendar, be efficient and timely, being able to respond, understanding the rules and following policies and procedures and laws. There's a lot that entails school leadership. So we're going to talk about all of that in terms of the interview process today. Okay. So phase 1, let's just dive right in to phase 1. Phase 1 is before you even get into the interview process. There's something that happens before you get into school leadership, and that is the decision to move from teacher to admin. You make a decision. Becoming a school leader, it starts with your thoughts. It starts with shedding an identity. You know, when you've been teaching for a long time, your identity is like, you're pretty competent. You're a master teacher. You know what you're doing. You understand your classroom management. You know how to set up a classroom, how to set up lessons. You feel skilled. You feel confident, competent. Your identity as a teacher feels very grounded, very solid, very secure, very stable, very certain, because you've done the job long enough and you feel really good about it. And now you have some thoughts like, I wonder what else is next for me. Because as humans, we are driven, we are compelled to continually evolve ourselves. We develop as a human from the time we're born to our last breath. We will always be developing. That is education, learning, growing, evolving. It's wired within us to not stagnate. Stagnation feels blah. It feels like being stuck. It feels like what's the feeling that it has? We feel in like what not successful. We feel like we're not contributing in the way or growing and evolving in the way that we want to. Like we're wired for that. So you'll feel this moment of like, I feel like stagnation is a little bit setting in. I'm looking for new adventures, something new to learn, something new to try. Okay. So when the first kind of pre-phase in all of this is making the decision, there's a moment of decision that happens when you are contemplating, like, I wonder what else is in my career. When I'm thinking about this journey from college into teaching, into all these other things I've done, and now I'm contemplating on the next chapter of my journey, school leadership, making this moment of decision. It goes from kind of a playful daydreamy, like, I wonder if that's possible. And you start to contemplate the possibility. And you're trying to imagine yourself. Oh, sorry, I bit my cheek. You're trying to imagine yourself in the position. And you're like, I can't quite imagine it. But as you daydream, you're like, oh, I actually could see myself doing that. I actually could. And all of a sudden, that thought, just the contemplation of it turns into possibility. And then that evolves into belief. Like, I can do this job. And there's a moment you're like, I'm going to go for this. I'm going to make this happen. Once you commit, you're like, I'm going to do this. I want to do this. I at least want to see it through, to see if I'm capable, to see if I can. That's where the energy and momentum starts to flow, right? So there's kind of this undercurrent of thinking about it and ideas, and then boom, an action plan starts to develop. It starts going from your head and your emotions into like actually cultivating a plan for like, what would I need to do? You start researching, you start making lists of action items, you start looking at the classes or the coursework or the master degree or the assessment you would need to take in order to become eligible for school leadership, right? So as we're going on that journey and preparing ourselves to become eligible, just to become eligible is a whole process, right? To be able to take the coursework and get the necessary degrees, or to take, some people, they have to take an administrative exam. Maybe they already have their a master's degree, but they're adding on some kind of assessment or exam. Somewhere along that line, you're going to be so excited and have all this momentum, and then boom, something will happen, an obstacle will come in your way, doubt will set in, and you might feel a little setback. And when you feel that setback, a couple of things happen. We either stop, we kind of slow the process down. We take a moment to take a breath and figure out what we're going to do. We might stall in an action, procrastinate, or maybe we just stop altogether and quit, or we double down. We kind of do this all or none approach. We either go for it, all double down, all in, over prepare, go crazy, like get consumed by it and be obsessed with it, or we let the obstacle like prevent us from moving forward. Our momentum either doubles in energy, or it like wanes in energy. But I want you to notice something. And there's a reason that I'm teaching this to you right now. Your decision to become a school leader in your past, right? There's your past, this present moment we're in right this minute, and the future. This moment is either thinking about the future or the past. It rarely is thinking about right now, because you're in it right now. You're thinking about how to apply what I'm saying right now, these very words, into your future, or they're stirring up memories of your past. But it starts with a thought. So back in your past, you had a moment where a thought came into your head. Like before school leadership, you never considered it, right? I'd never do that job. I remember saying that. I would never be a principal. That's crazy. I would never do that. And then something, usually some kind of catalytic event, a situation occurs where there's a change in thought or it pops into your awareness. Like, someone said I should be an admin, but I could never do that. But the seed's been planted. Or like for me, my superintendent tapped me on the shoulder. You would make a great school leader. Really? What makes you say that? Like, I'm over here teaching kindergarten. How can I be a school leader? I'm just teaching 25 kids how to read and write. And he's like, no, you're amazing at this and this and this. And all of a sudden, he's planting all these seeds of possibility. He's planting thoughts into my head that's encouraging me to consider and to contemplate and to imagine myself being in a school leadership role. And at first, there was too big of a gap. But then the more that I thought about it, the more it felt possible. And the gap started to close for me. I started to like, oh, okay, what would I do here? What would I do? And then I started observing my current principal. And then I started imagining what I would do if I were her, if I were in that situation, or how would I handle this, or who would I ask? And I really started contemplating that I was cut out and capable and that this was potential for me. And you start to think like, I'm ready for this change, a new challenge. I could actually do this. You know that feeling? You've had that feeling. If you're here, if you're watching this, if you asked for this, which I did a poll in our Facebook group and I asked who here wants to get hired, and there was a percentage of people like, yes, please pick me. I'm aspiring. I want this. The thought triggers other thoughts, and all of a sudden you are in a new portal of possibility is what I call it. You've entered a new portal and you're like looking around. It's like you've entered in somewhere for your first time. You're like, wow, I didn't even know this existed for me. And now it's available to me. Holy moly, look at this. Wow, right? And you start thinking about how it would feel and what impact you would make and like how you'd dress and what kind of school you want to lead and what you'd prioritize and the vision you'd have and the people you'd work with and the students you would serve and the families. And you start to get this really amazing feeling like this is possible. I'm going to do this. There is a moment in the pre-phase of imagining. There is a moment of decision that happens. It's the moment you decided to go for the admin position. And when I say decide, I mean to cut off all other options. I'm going to be. From there's no way, from unawareness to like, there's no way I'd do that. To like, what? Why would I even consider that? That looks too hard. To like, wait, maybe it's possible. To like, interesting. To like, whoa. This actually is possible. To like, whoa, portal of possibility entered, new dimension, new experience, new chapter of our career journey. And then, yes, it's the moment you say, yes, I'm all in. After that decision, your brain fires into action. It wants to know the right approach. Okay, I've decided, I'm going for it, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to make my list and I'm going to research and I'm going to call everybody I know. I'm going to collect information. I'm going to register for all these classes. I'm going to do, check the boxes. That's amazing. All of that's great. Like you're right on track. But at some point, what happens is along the journey, there's a moment of doubt. There's a moment of like, ooh, I didn't realize I was going to have to take that many classes. Or, ooh, I didn't know that I was going to have to take this big test at the end. Or, ooh, I didn't realize how expensive this was. Or, ooh, I just saw my principal go through a rough meeting. I don't know if I can handle that. I don't know if I want to handle that. Do I want to be at IEPs every night or every morning? Do I want to have to go to board meetings? I don't know about this. So like after all this momentum and excitement hits and you get going and it feels really good and then something comes in most of the time. I haven't met a person that this hasn't happened, but it could be you. So for most people, they're like, whoa, this is a lot of work. I don't know if I can handle this. I'm not sure I have what it takes. Maybe it would just be easier to stay in my classroom because I know it and I love it and I can do it and I feel confident and I have everything I need and I don't need to expand myself and make myself have to learn and do hard things and learn new things and feel that discomfort of growth. So maybe I'll just stay here. And that feeling of doubt can take you in the all or none. Doubling down, or for a lot of us, it's like, well, I'm going to hold off for a moment. And then if you're in doubt, you know what happens? Doubt's going to generate doubt. It's going to spin you into more doubt. So now we start looking for all of the reasons that we shouldn't go into administration. Then we have this internal conflict. But I want to go into administration for all these reasons. But I don't want to go in for all those reasons. Pros, cons, pros, cons. And now you feel like you're in an internal, courtroom with yourself, like you're having a battle. Your internal conflicting, right? There's internal dissonance. Either way, we have, it's almost like you come full circle to making the decision, to the recommitment of whether you're going to go into the position or not. And I want to tell you something. This cycle of momentum, like awareness, generates, it's possible for me. Like there's an awareness seed that is planted. It creates awareness. And then you're like, wait a minute, do I want this? Yeah, I think I do. I align to, here's the reasons why I want this. And here's why. You align to those values. And then you gain momentum. And then it's like a wave. It's like big amounts of momentum. You're doing all the things, go, 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 psh, crash. There is an obstacle that gets in your way. And you're like, oh, where'd my momentum go? Why do I still want this? Doubt kicks in. And now you've got to go through the process again. And I'm here to tell you that is normal. Every human on the planet goes through this cycle of possibility and doubt and possibility and doubt. It's like a teeter-totter. So don't let it freak you out or scare you or deter you from going for what you want. Now, that's the pre-phase. And I just set it up to help you understand and see where you've been, where you are along the journey. And to be able to relate to and connect with the process you've gone through so far to help you understand it and be like, oh, yes, I get it. I see, I have been through these phases. This is partly what I have been through. This is my experience or something very similar. Okay. So now we're back to commitment. We're like, nope, I'm going to do this. All right, here we are. Phase one. The solution to the doubt is to come back to honesty and clarity. When you are aware that you are being called into school leadership and it feels like a yes for you and it feels a little scary and it's new and uncomfortable and different, but you're still a yes, you have to get honest with yourself in order to create clarity for yourself. You need to be clear about what you want and why you want it. This is the process of determining your values. What do I value? Prioritize what I value. Do I value things being easy and staying in my classroom and not changing? Or do I value pushing myself and growing and learning new things and having a bigger impact? And then why? What are the values driving that? Why do I feel this compelled? You want to actually capture those values because they are what tether you during the hard times. This is why I feel this way. This is my purpose. This is my why. These are my values. This is my reasoning. Whatever you want to label it, write it down. Get concrete about why you're doing what you want and why you want it. Decide what you want most from your future self, from the version of you that's already in the position, loving it, competent, skilled. You know, the version of you that's a teacher right now and you're like, you feel so good about yourself. Your self-identity, your self-concept is so solid as a teacher and you feel amazing. I want you to imagine yourself as the school leader who feels the same way about themselves as they do as a teacher. Plant that identity on and now decide what you want most. And here's why I say that. I'm going to give you some prompts, some questions that you can write down to answer as you're preparing for the interview process. The reason I'm having you do this is this version of you, the version of you that's already the principal, who's smart and savvy and confident and competent and knows what he or she or they are doing. You're going to answer with clarity and honesty, because right now, this version of you, today's version, you're a little nervous, you're unsure, I don't know, confusion, doubt, overwhelm, all of those emotions are the fuel that are driving the car right now. We don't want that to be the case. You can never know how to do something that you've never done before. You won't know the how until you've already done it. So you've got to ask your future self, the version of you that you imagined, knowing exactly what you're doing, feeling that school vibe, feeling the culture at your school, feeling the success, feeling the impact you're creating, being inspired, feeling like you're in the ideal job for you. From that energetic space, I want you to ask yourself, what is it that I want and why? Up here, future self. So write these questions down. What do I want and why? What are my fears and doubts? Is there anything that I'm avoiding? And what would it take for me to commit 100%? You want to clean up the path. So I think of it like you're driving a car and you're on the road. And then you come up and there's a sign, there's an obstacle in your way that says like road closed. And you're like, oh, shoot. Do you just turn around? Or do you kind of like check out is it really closed? You check out the situation. Maybe there's just a cone in the road that needs to be moved. Or maybe there's a stone that's rolled down the hill that just needs to be put to the side. Or maybe there's a branch in the way. You just need to get out of the car and pick it up and move it, and then you can keep going. So you want to clear the path. You want to be on a clean, clear path. And the path is what you want and why. And then the obstacles that get in the way are the fears and the doubts and the insecurities. And then from those, what are you avoiding? Because you feel insecure, you're unsure of yourself, or you're a little bit afraid, or you're doubting yourself. What are you avoid doing? What are you avoid saying? Who are you avoid being? Because you're afraid you won't do it right, or you don't know, or you're too new, or you've never tried this before, or you don't, all of that. And then go back into your future. Like the part of you that already wants this job, already has the job, already does it really well. What version of them was 100% committed? I just like to ask my future self, give me all the answers. Tell me everything. And what do you know that you don't want? Sometimes in order to know what you do want, you have to ask yourself, well, here's what I know what I don't want. I don't want to stay in the same position for 40 years. I don't want to be at this school. I want to be at a middle school, or I want to be at a preschool, or I want to be at an elementary school, a different elementary school. Maybe I want to be out of this district. Maybe I want to be at this school. Maybe my principal is retiring and I'm the perfect next fit. What would delight you? Sometimes you know what you don't want is easier than knowing what you do want. Either way, what you don't want and what you do want should be like almost opposite. Like if I don't want this, then I want this. Or I want something like this. I just like to ask myself the question, what would delight me? What kind of career would delight me? What would make me spring out of bed every morning? What delights me? And what delights me, this is how I knew it was time to go into coaching full time. I wasn't delighted being a district level leader. It did not delight me. I was curious. I was fascinated. I was shocked. I was sometimes appalled, but I felt so disconnected from my original why. The kids, teaching, learning, site administration. I loved site administration. But it was a shift when I went up to district for me personally. I thought I was going to be so delighted. When I got promoted, I was so proud of myself that I had made it to the district level, to central office. And then when I got there, it did not delight me. But what it did do was it was an opportunity for me to see gaps in at least my system, my current, the environment I was in. I saw gaps in support that would create better, successful schools by supporting school leaders. I was basically like hired. You're great. We love you. Got a great personality. You're fun. You're smart. You're cute. Here are the keys. Go enjoy your school. By the way, it's a brand new school. It's under construction, and you only get to lead 3 days a week because we need you at the district office the other 2 days doing this whole other full-time job. Okay, have fun. Bye. It still delighted me. I was just so proud to be in the position. I was proud to learn, but it was hard knocks. It was hard knocks. I failed. I failed in so many ways. I was successful in many ways. I got a brand new school off the ground. I literally started it from scratch. I created a school site council, an ELAC committee. I created systems just for that school to function. Recess. We didn't even have a playground when we started. The playground was still being built. Our lunch program was not, the cafeteria was not complete. We had to order in bagged lunches for kids for the first, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks of school. Like, it was crazy, but I did it. It was hard, and I showed up every day. And I was like, I'm in, even though I'm really bad at this. Like, I stink at this. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I was still delighted in the learning of it, in the growing of it. And I got negative feedback. I had people who hated me. They said, you're terrible at this job. And I was. I agreed with them. I'm like, you're right. I am. I am so overwhelmed. I am doing the best that I can. Tell me what you want to tell me. I'll take it. And I'll try to get to it as best I can. But what I saw was a gap. You need to do what delights you. If you're in a teacher position, I want you to look for the gap. How do you add value to that gap? What can you do? Will it delight you to be new and uncomfortable and awkward and clumsy and not know anything? Can you handle that? And if the answer is like, I don't know, but I think so, I'll tell you what helped. I hired a coach. The coach is what helped me mentally, emotionally. The district offered me a coach. I had an amazing coach through the district, but that was a lot of like structure and paperwork, and I had to go through these certain modules or whatever. It was already dictated, like the conversations, but I hired a personal coach. And that coach was the one who really got me through the emotional demands, the mental demands and the physical demands. But I want you to think about what would delight you. You can do something hard that's new and it's a little bit scary, but it can still be exciting and delight you and fill your bucket and like give you that energy and aliveness that comes with being human and having a career that's fulfilling and engaging and exciting. Okay. So let me put it this way. The second solution in phase 1, when you are in the pre-stages of planning for the interview process, you've got to be open and honest with yourself. You got to honesty is what creates clarity. And then clarity is what creates strategy. Okay. So this is when you determine the obstacles that you anticipate getting in the way and you solve for them ahead of time. You're coming up with a strategy, like list out what you think you're going to be great at as a school leader and where you think you'll stumble. What are the obstacles in your way? You might say like, well, I don't know much about special education. I don't know much about the laws. That's a legit concern. I had no clue until I started working as a principal with my special education team, and they were amazing and they taught me all the things. And it was one of my favorite aspects of my job. I was afraid, like potential obstacle, didn't know how, like, what was I going to do if I had angry parents? Like in kindergarten, 99% of parents are just thrilled that their child is in kindergarten and they're so happy. And I was a really good teacher, so I did not have a lot of parent conflict. I was very concerned about parent conflict. What to do if I couldn't resolve a parent issue? What was I going to do? It was an obstacle for me mentally, right? I never taught 5th grade. People weren't going to take me seriously. How could I be credible in the upper grades when I had been a K-1-2 teacher and a reading specialist and an instructional coach, right? Where could I leverage? I had to think about the obstacles, right? So write them all down, write all your fears, all your concerns, all your worries, all your I don't knows, all the confusions. Just write them down. And then for each obstacle, you're going to want to come up with like, what would I do? And your brain's going to go, I don't know. But you're growing into a new identity. If you did know, what would you do? You can't say I don't know. You're in the job. Now what? You have to make your best guess and move on. And that's your plan. That's the strategy you have moving forward. And the reason I'm telling you this, I want you to listen up. The reason I'm telling you this is because they're going to ask you these questions. You want to think about them in advance, because you're either going to pre-plan your thoughts around obstacles and solutions beforehand, or you're going to have to answer them on the fly. And my recommendation is that you answer them ahead of time in your mind so that you feel calm in your body when you're asked, because you're like, I got this. I've thought about this. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, because I'm new, I'm going to make sure I ask 3 other people, or I'm going to have a list of who I go to for what. That might be your answer. Be honest with, think of all the obstacles. How would you handle them if you had to? If you couldn't say no, if you were already in the position, ask your future self, what would she do? How is she going to handle that, right? Now, I want to offer you a scenario while of a present moment problem solution, okay? Let's say you're out interviewing right now. You've prepped, you know your reasons, you're ready to go, you have a lot of momentum, and you're out there interviewing, and you're doing pretty well. And you get offered a job, but it doesn't feel like the right fit. Let's say you're putting your name in all the hats. Like, I'm just going to go get interview experience, but the one you interviewed for, you're like, I mean, I don't really know if I want that one. And they offer it to you. You're going to want to say yes because you want to be done with the interviewing process. You want to just say you have a job and you just want to jump in. You're like, good enough. I'm just going to settle for this one. This is the strategy I'm talking about, where you have to know your why, what you want and why you want it, because you need to set a set of standards for yourself, for your ideal job. We're not just talking about any old job. We're talking about what would be the best fit for you and why you think it's the best fit for you. If there is a school position that you've been offered and you like you can feel like your gut reaction to it is a no, I invite you to say no. Stay in alignment, stay in integrity, stay in truth of what feels right for you. Here's why. Interviewing is a lot like dating. You're looking for a match, they're looking for a match. And it's like you saying yes to somebody that you don't really want to date. It's not fair to you and it's not fair to them, because it's not a match. It has to be a match for you. Be willing to say no and trust that something better is coming along. Be willing to continue the interview process. Okay. And I'm planting that seed in advance on purpose, because once we get into interview prep and interviewing, you're going to be so excited, and it can feel grueling. You will want to rush through the process, and you'll be like, I know I said that I was going to get my best job, but now I just want to take the fastest job, the first one. No, you're going to create a set of standards around your ideal position before you jump into interviewing, so that you can be tethered when you get a bunch of offers, or you keep getting offers that aren't aligned for you. Okay. So let's dive into phase 2. Phase 2 is the prep. I've helped so many clients with this. I have a lot of people who hire me to get hired and then continue to work with me as their coach once they get hired, because now they're really in it and they really don't know all the things. But let's talk about preparing for the interview. This is phase 2. So phase 1 is all the contemplation that comes beforehand. It's your purpose, your reason, your why, the moment of decision, the level of commitment, being 100% all in, knowing your strengths, knowing what obstacles might come up for you, contemplating those obstacles in advance, asking yourself questions that are going to bring up to the truth of who you are and where you're at in your identity as a school leader. Okay. It's okay if there's a gap. That's not the problem. People expect you to have a gap, especially if you're brand new. Don't try to mask or pretend there's no gap. Here's where I'm at. Here's where I want to be, but I've anticipated what's in my way, and I've anticipated how to smooth out that path for myself, how to remove the branches. Even if I have to call in a troop and ask for help, or, if I have to get support, I will do that if it helps me remove the obstacle out of my way so I can keep going. Okay. So, interview prep, I'm sure you could Google interview preparation checklist, and there's probably a list of all the things you need to do. Go ahead and download one of those. That's not what this is. Get the checklist, whatever you think you need to do, whatever you feel you need to do. It doesn't matter what actions. What matters is that you calendar them. You need to put them on your schedule. And here's why. Because you want to carve out space and assign a date, time, and a duration to your interview prep. You don't want it to be an afterthought or if it fits in. You want, because you're 100% committed to getting the job, then it deserves time and attention and respect on your calendar. It needs to feel valued, right? Just like you put all of your appointments on your calendar, this is an appointment that you have with yourself to go through these action lines, okay? So there's a set of actions that you've been taught. You can go ahead and do those. In addition to the checklist, there is a belief triad that needs to be acknowledged. Nobody's teaching this part. No, I haven't seen it out there on the internet, but I have it here. I created it. It's called the belief triad. There are 3 beliefs that a school leader who's interviewing for a position needs to believe in that helps them land the job. You need to believe in yourself. That's one version of this triangle. I'm ready and prepared. I believe in me. My belief in me is high. Okay. That's part 1 of the triad. Part 2 is people want to hire me. So there's the thoughts about yourself. There's the thoughts about the people interviewing you out there. There's somebody out there who wants me. There's somebody out there who needs me. People want to hire me. I'm in high demand. People want me. Me, exclusively. You. You're the only you. They want you, nobody else. So you have to, there's a belief in yourself. There's a belief in the other people, because it's a relationship. It's a match you're looking for. And then 3, you got to believe that the job exists. There is an ideal job available to me with my name on it. It's out there. I know it. I can't touch it or feel it. I don't know exactly the details. It's not super tangible yet, but I know it exists out there. It's there. You have to trust that it's there, even though you didn't get the offer yet, even though you don't know which exact district or which exact position. Okay. That belief triad matters as much, if not more, than the to-do checklist. The actions that you take are important. You're not going to create a job interview or a job position without doing the actions. But I want you to consider the fuel that are driving those actions. What's the fuel that's putting into motion these actions? Is it out of scarcity? Is it out I have to get this job because there's only one job? There's not enough jobs? Are you doing it from that? Are you doing it from, well, I'm going to throw my name in the hat, but I doubt they're going to hire me. Nobody likes me. They probably already have somebody else in mind. They probably just floated this because they had to legally. Is it that energy you're coming in with? Is it, I'm going to apply for this, but I'm sure, I don't know, I don't have the skill set. I've never done this before. And you know what? There's so many good people out there. I don't know that I can do this, but I'm going to try. Where does the lack of belief fall? Is it within yourself? Is it in the process? Is it in the people? Where are we lacking belief? Check in with yourself. Okay. One thing I teach my clients how to do, and you will learn this if you decide to work with me either one-on-one or through my group coaching program called EPC, the Empowered Principal Collaborative. There are two ways to work with me. I teach you how to identify your school leadership values, your philosophy, your values, to establish an identity for yourself that grounds you, that tethers you, that you can stand stable on, that says, this is who I am as a leader. This is who I am. Whether I'm in an IEP meeting or a PLC meeting, or I'm running my staff meeting, or I'm in a classroom, or I'm in the lunchroom, or I'm away at a district meeting. This is who I am in all the facets of my career. I'm here, then I'm here, then I'm here, but I'm the same me. There are nuances to those depending on an IEP meeting, depending on the role you're playing in that meeting. Maybe at the district, like you're there as more of a student, you're learning, you're gathering information. At the IEP meeting, you might be administrative designee where you're facilitating a meeting. Different energies, same you, okay? You want to identify your leadership values, your philosophy, your manifesto, all of that. That we get into that deeper into EPC and one-on-one coaching, okay? From there, you're going to be able to start looking and identifying districts that align to your values. This isn't a process where you decide who you are. Your self-identity is dependent on the district you're applying to. You're not going to be a chameleon and just metamorphose into, oh, I'll be this version of me at this district, or I'll be this version of me for that district. No. You decide who you are, who you want to be, what your identity is, and then that's the version of you, the honest, in integrity, clean, squeaky clean, aligned decision that you are. Your self-identity is who you are based on what you want, and then you go out and find a district that fits and is like your personality appeals to, your leadership values are appealing to them. You don't compromise your self-identity to get a job to fit in, just like dating. Okay? And then you've got to show up as that version of yourself. Who do you have to believe? Who do you have to believe? Who do you have to be? Who do you have to become? The identity, stepping into it, being this version of yourself that is like, I'm the one. I know who I am. I know what drives me. I'm in the emotional fuel, the energetic fuel that's in my body it's clean, it's aligned, it's high octane, it's focused, it's confident, it's competent. I'm ready to take this on. Even though I'm new, even though I don't know, I cannot know, I can be new and still be confident that I'll figure it out and still feel confident that I will do whatever I can. I'll be the best version of myself, and I'll be open to feedback, open to growing, open to asking questions, open to learning, and opening to failure, to be quite honest. You're going to trip, you're going to fail about 90% of the time, especially in those first few years, because there's just too much to know. And did you know that your superintendent is doing the same thing, and that the assistant superintendents are doing the same thing, and the directors and the coordinators, everybody at the district office, they're all trying to figure out their jobs too. Every day. We're all trying to figure out our jobs. So rest assured, being new is not a problem. You want to delight in how to be new. I actually teach an entire course on how to be new, how to be a new principal. You'll learn that in EPC or when you coach with me one-on-one. So the first phase is all the decision-making process and setting yourself up to align to who you are, what you want, why you want it. It's the mindset piece. The second phase is getting more into the action, the energy that's fueling the actions. The resume updating, practicing, right? All of that. There are actions that you take to prepare for an interview, right? You know to update your resume and get the cover letters and get the reference letters, and you practice. You might role play practicing interview questions. There are actions that you take. There are actions that you believe will work. But then there's other actions that you do take that you don't realize how much time and energy that they are consuming. They're consuming your focus, your time, your mental and emotional energy. And that is being fueled by doubt. There are actions that are very straightforward and confident. And then there's other actions like calling friends and mentors, asking in Facebook group for input, opinions. What should I do? Anytime you're asking a bunch of people, what decision should I make? What should I do? That is not being the empowered principal version of yourself. You're abdicating your decision making to other people. You're asking people for a bunch of opinions. And now you're more confused than ever because everybody has different thoughts. Everybody has different experiences. Everybody has different ideas. And now you have 200 ideas and now you're even more confused than before. And you just can't believe that you have no idea what you're going to decide because there's so much input. When you over research, you over question, you over ask, you dig around, spending hours and hours looking for answers externally. None of that's a problem, but they distract you, they consume time and energy, and they actually make you more confused. So before you go and ask other people's brains for all of their thoughts and ideas about your career, let's ask you about your career. I call this active belief building. It's knowing what you want and why you want it, taking time to create those leadership values, taking time to like document or capture the vision that you have for your career, the vision you have for a school that you want to lead, a vision that you have for the students and staff within that school, like embracing it, embodying how that would feel. And then determining specifically the ideal position for you. What would it look like? What would it feel like? What would it smell like? What would it taste like? Like, what would the schedule be? What would the school, what would the vibe of the school be? What kinds of committees, what kinds of celebrations would your school host? What kinds of events would you have for kids? How would you connect with them? How do you see your school? How do you see people being engaged and loving coming to school and having fun? Really building up all of that energy and then creating evidence that you are capable of this vision. Because your vision is always, the thoughts you have about that moment is always going to be in the future. There's somewhat of a chasing of it, but I want you to ground yourself with how those things are already happening right here, right now. That you're already the person. I'm capable and ready right now. People want to hire me right now. There's an ideal job for me right now. Not in 3 years from now, not in 5 months from now, today. You got to sell yourself on you to be able to sell yourself on them. You have to believe in yourself before they're going to believe in you. If you go to into an interview and your belief triad is like 2 on a scale of 10, not getting the job. You got to be in the 8s, 9s, and 10s. It's so important. But it's not what we talk. We talk about the actions that you need to take. I'm talking about the emotional energy and the thoughts that you're thinking, the belief systems that you're carrying into these interviews. That's what is the make or break. You can have somebody who has lots of experience, but their belief is so, excuse me, so low in themselves. They've been doing the job for 3 years, but maybe they had a really harsh boss. So they left that job and they're interviewing because they want to be a school leader and they want the income and they want to create impact and inspiration and create a legacy for themselves. But their belief in themselves and their belief that other people think that they're good at their job is like in the toilet. And they go into an interview and people are like, no, that's a no for us. We don't want somebody who doesn't believe in themselves. We don't want somebody who thinks that we are not looking for them. We don't want somebody who doesn't believe in the process, right? So your belief system has to be in check. You've got to be up 8, 9, 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, believing in yourself, believing in the people who are interviewing you, and believing in the process, the interview process. Now we're going to step into phase 3. Phase 3 is the actual interview, okay? The interview process is like speed dating. You're going to go in and you're going to speed date, where you kind of go around and talk to everybody, like you're in this interview for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and then you're going to go to the next interview, right? The purpose of an interview, sitting down, I'm on one side, you're on the other, you're interviewing for this position. The purpose of an interview is it's a conversation about a problem and a solution match. You want to be the solution to their problem. They have a problem. They have an opening. They have a position they need to fill in school leadership. That's the problem. And the solution that they're seeking is a competent, like a person in high belief who believes they can do the job and believes you're the right match and believes this is the ideal school for them. This is the ideal job. They're looking for that. That's the problem that they're trying to solve, and you're the solution to that problem. They are also the solution to your problem, potentially. That's why you're interviewing, is you're meeting, you're speed dating with them to figure it out. Are we a match or not? So they're looking for a solution to their problem. You're looking for a solution to your problem, which is, I want to be a school leader and land this job. That is my problem. I'm not currently in the job, and my solution is to find the right match so that I'm in the job. Okay? The way that you become the solution to their problem is to deeply understand their problem, to know what they're looking for, and then offer a solution. Here's what I can offer you. Sounds like this is the area that you're looking for. This is the expertise you're looking for. This is what you're looking for. Here's what I can offer. Okay. You help them see the process that you've gone through because you're in such high belief. You're like, here's what I've applied to prepare myself. Even though I'm new, I'm prepared to be new. I'm prepared to figure things out. I'm prepared to get it wrong and figure it out and get it right, or to ask the questions. I'm prepared to be vulnerable and know when I need to ask for support. You're painting a vision for them so that they're asking you questions because they're trying to get a vision in their mind. Is this person the right person? Can I see them doing this job to the best of their ability? Can I see them being a fit on our team? They need a vision. You need to paint that vision for them. Here's what it would look like to hire me. Here's what it would look like if we work together. Here's what it would look like for me to serve this community. And then, as I said before, you've already anticipated some of the obstacles. They're going to ask, like, your weaknesses, like, what's an area of growth? What are you working on? Like, you don't say nothing. You are human. We all have strengths and areas we're growing and developing. You share what you're developing and the approach you're taking to develop it. One of the things that's really hard for me is to say no, but I'm working with this coach and she's really helping me set up prioritization and boundaries in my schedule. And I am confident that throughout this year, I'm going to learn the skill of setting boundaries around my time and around saying no and keeping things prioritized and focused. And not that I'm just saying no for saying no. There's an intention behind saying no. So I've been a people pleaser for a long time. And so I'm seeking out ways to know when I should say yes and when it's okay to say no, and how to say not yet, or can we try it this way, to get a win-win with people so that it's not a blanket yes or no, that I'm being intentional about the use of my time, the use of my energy and attention, and ensuring that I'm prioritizing the district, initiatives along with the side initiatives so that I can stay in alignment, right? You're just sharing with them, yes, this is an area that's been hard for me, but here's how I'm tackling it. Or if you struggle with boundaries around boundaries around time, boundaries around energy, boundaries around like people interrupting you, or maybe turning paperwork in late and trying to figure that out, or like whatever your weakness is, you can say your weakness as a developing strength. I'm developing the capacity I'm developing the skill set. I'm developing the the knowledge, the information, the organization skills, whatever it is that you need. Okay. So you want to be their match, they want to be your match. It goes both ways. Do not use this against yourself. If they don't happen to be a match, that doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. The one pitfall, well, one of the pitfalls that I see are principals, aspiring principals who use the interview process against them. And every time that they go in for an interview, even if it's not one that they really want, they still use it against them. I'm insufficient. I'm not good enough. Here's my invitation to you. You need to separate self-identity from your professional identity, from your skills. There's inherently who you are as a human on the planet. And then there's your developing set of skills that are ever evolving, ever growing, ever expanding. When someone says, thank you for interviewing. After careful consideration, we've decided to go with another candidate. Thank you so much for your time. They're not saying you as a human are unworthy or incapable or unskilled or that you lack inherently you don't possess the value. It's not about your inherent worthiness. It's about developing the skill. Or you have a great set of skills. They just needed a specific skill. This one specific skill that maybe you didn't mention and you had it, or you had it, you don't have it, and it didn't, whatever. Keep your skill set as developing separate from your identity as a human. You did not come into this world broken, wrong, incapable. You have the capability to be as good as you want to be, hands down. You might be new. You might have to learn how to interview until you land that job, but you are not. No one pulled the plug on your capacity to grow and learn and evolve and gain the skill set you need. Don't use that against yourself. When you're interviewing, you can do some of this prep work before, but in the moment, you want the interview to be just as focused on them as it is on you. It feels like it's all eyes on you, but you also want to focus on them. You want to be curious about what they want and why. Right? When they ask a question, don't just be in your head about how do I answer this? It's like every question they ask you is an interesting insight into the district and into what they're looking for. When somebody says, tell us how you would manage a set of parents that are all CEOs and love to come in and boss you around and tell you what to do. Like what they're saying is we have a really strong set of highly educated parents who are really active in the community and have a lot of thoughts and opinions about how the school should be led. And they're going to tell you those opinions. And how might you do that? Right? It's interesting. Listen to the questions. Some of them are generic, and you just anticipate them and they're no-brainers. And then some are very specific and they are insight into the district, which can tell you is this a match for me? Because you might be like, oh, I've dealt with those kind of parents. I know what to do. Or maybe they say 80%, how would you handle, how would you handle anything around attendance, anything around maybe multiple languages at your school, anything around equity, diversity, inclusion? Listen to the questions, because that is also insight into what they're looking for. And ask clarifying questions. When you say that these parents are, here's how I would handle that, but let me ask you this, if I may, and then you ask a clarifying question, notice what and how they ask, and try to be in their heads as much as possible. And then you offer a solution. Here's what I can offer. And the way you offer is called how. Honest, open, and willing. Be honest about your skill set, be open to learning and growing and exposing your areas of development, and then be willing to gain that skill set and knowledge. Here's what I can do. Here's what I do know. Here are the results I have created. Be willing to share your process. Here's the process I used. Here's the results I've created in the past, and I can apply that to this. How did you become such a successful teacher? Apply it to how you're going to become a successful principal. You paint the vision and remind yourself, it is not wrong to have human weakness. It is not, nobody wants a perfect principal. They want an empowered one. They want one that says, I don't know everything. Of course I don't. I'm honest about that. I'm willing to not know everything, but I'm open to learning. It's just being human. So what creates a match, a win-win? They know you, they like you, they trust you. That creates a solution match. When they get to know you through the interview process because you're being authentic, you're being open, and you're just as interested in them as being in your own head about how you're answering, they like you. And when they like you, they start to trust. They can start to envision you being the answer to their problem. So what do the people interviewing you need to be feeling to make that offer to you? They need to be interested in you. You can't be boring. You've got to be compelling. You have to be engaging. They want to feel understood. They want to know that you're listening as much as you're speaking. You're asking clarifying questions, or you ask the repeat if you don't understand, that you're seeking to understand them. They're also humans on the planet doing the best they can. They want to feel comfort in offering you the position. They want to feel connected to you. They want that vision painted. They can see, yeah, I can see working with her. Oh, I can see how she'd fit into the team. Oh, I could totally see her fitting in at that school with those teachers. Yeah, this is going to be great. Because they have to feel safe that they are making a good decision in offering you the position. They have to feel confident. This is our person. This is the right person for us. I want to make this offer. So they need to be thinking things like, this interview is fun. This is going well. I like what this person is saying. I like how they're engaging us. Wow, they asked a question. This person knows what they're looking for. They want you to know what you're looking for so that you can say, hey, here's what I'm looking for. This is who I am. This is what I can offer. This is what I can't, but here's what I'm open and willing to do. They want you to be approachable because they want to, if they feel that you're approachable with them, they're going to envision you being approachable with your teachers, your students, and your community. They want to be able to see you working with them working with you. And what they really want to believe at the end of the day, after all those interviews, and they hand you the position, they want to believe this: hiring this person was a wise decision. We made a good choice. We're good district leaders. We made a good choice. I'm good at my job. This person's amazing. They're the match they're the solution to our problem. So how do you do that? How do you show up? You create the same energy for yourself. You think the same thoughts and you generate the same emotions. This interview process is fun. It's engaging. It's interesting. I think I understand what's going on here, and I'm letting people understand who I am. I'm feeling comfortable. I'm creating comfort. I feel safe. I'm feeling confident in me, in them, in us as a team. This interview's fun. I like what they're saying. They're exactly what I'm looking for. I can totally see myself working here. Hiring me, you're right. It is the right decision. It's the wise decision. We were a match. This is perfect. I'm in agreement. So if you get a yes, you're going to land the job. Just feel that for a moment. Embrace that for a moment. Imagine getting that email. You got the job. You breathe. You sink it in before you take any action. You can scream, you can dance, you can shout, you can jump up and down. Celebrate that yes. Take that moment in. It's what you said you wanted. It's the moment. From the moment you decided to the moment that you interview to the moment you get the yes, these are the moments we remember. This is a core memory you're creating. Just let it sink in before you say anything or say yes back. Notice how you're feeling. What are you thinking about yourself, about them, about the process? What's your belief triad when you get that yes? Write it down because I want you thinking those thoughts before the interview. You want to feel this amazing, but you want to feel that before the interview, going into the interview, interviewing, and then after the interview. I nailed that interview. I was great in that interview. And I learned some things from that interview. So I'm going to adjust for next time. Acknowledge yourself when you get the yes. I did this. I created this with my thoughts, with my feelings, with my actions. I created this desired result for myself and celebrate it on all the ways. And if you get a no, and you probably will, you're going to be disappointed. You're going to be sad. It's going to sting a little. You might feel rejected. Notice that I was rejected is a thought. It's not a feeling. Disappointment is what comes with rejection, or hurt is what comes with rejection. You didn't get rejected. You weren't selected as the ideal match. It doesn't mean you're not a match. It means you're not the ideal match for that particular position. That's okay. It just means your match is coming. I don't want you to rush through the disappointment. Like, fine, like avoid it, ignore it, pretend it didn't happen. Feel it. Take that evening and be like, oh, ouch. Disappointed. I'm really disappointed. I thought this was the one. I really thought this was the one, but you know what? It's okay. I'm going to be sad tonight, and then tomorrow I'm going to be the one. I'm going to wake back up and I'm going to be the one for the right job for me. This wasn't the right job. After you've processed the disappointment, give yourself, I like to set a timer, and I literally sit with myself. I'm like, okay, 10 minutes. I'm going to be disappointed. I let it out. I feel it. Give myself some space. And the next day I'm like, okay, it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't my ideal match. Even though I thought it was, it wasn't. I'm going to move on because I'm the one. I'm the catch. I'm the ideal client for my ideal client. I'm the ideal candidate for my ideal job. It's out there. My match is out there waiting for me. I'm coming for you. Let's go. What worked in this interview? What didn't work? What did I learn? And what do I want to adjust? And maybe nothing. Maybe it was a great interview and they missed out. You were the one that got away and they should have hired you, but they didn't. And now they've missed out because somebody else is going to get you and you're amazing. There's not just one match for you in the world. There's the match that you make right. Here's what a no actually means. It does not mean rejection. It means it just wasn't the right match. It doesn't mean anything about you inherently. Maybe you have some skills, interview skills, or you have some leadership skills you're cultivating and developing, but you don't need to make it mean something super wrong with you. Do not beat yourself up. No self-deprecation. Be curious, explore the thoughts, and be willing to stockpile no's. Get a bunch of rejections, get a bunch of no letters for as long as it takes, because one yes is all it takes on this big pile of no's. You might have a little pile. Maybe you get 2 no's, 1 or 2 or 5 no's, or maybe you get 10 or 20. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you keep going until you get the yes. And one yes is on a pile of no's every single time. No matter what, whether you're a teacher, a principal, a superintendent, you're going to get tons of no's. You only need one yes. It means nothing about you personally. Separate that out. Developing skill sets versus inherent worth, 2 totally different things. And then finally, you want to detach from attachment. When you're not getting a job that you want and it feels like you're in a cycle, I actually invite you to double down, apply to everything, because you never know. It's like dating again. Like, go to the speed dating event. You don't know who's going to be your perfect match. Sometimes our vision gets so constricted. We're like looking for exactly somebody who is 6 foot 2.5, with this ideal, with this sandy brown hair, this type of part on the left side to the right. They have this particular color of brown eyes. They wear these brand of shoes, right? Sometimes we get too pigeonholed into our vision. We want to step back out, apply to everything, practice our interviewing skills, just go out there and have fun, meeting all the people. You never know the connections you're going to make. Somebody, you might interview and you might have been the second candidate, but then they refer you to somebody else, or you end up getting a different job within the same district because you applied. They're like, we had this middle school and I know you applied for that, but you'd be a perfect candidate and we have an opening in elementary. You're like, I actually preferred elementary, but I wanted to make sure I was just practicing and meeting as many people as possible and letting them know my skill set, because you never know. And they're like, we love that trait in you. That's a great personality trait. Put yourself out there. So if you're in a rut, if you seem to feel like you're stuck in a pattern, double down, go apply to everything. You never know when the ideal match, you never know the connections you're going to make or the referral that somebody might make to somebody else. And if you have multiple interviews lined up, you won't be attached to the one tiny little, has to be exactly this school, this person, this little teeny tiny hole. Okay? You won't be so attached to any one position. Okay? So finally, wrapping up, I want you to know, full belief, when I talk about the belief triad, what I'm really saying is just believe a little bit more than you don't. I believe I'm ready enough, capable enough, competent enough, skilled enough. I believe they want me enough. I believe in the process enough. You're not always going to be in 100% belief. You're not always going to be on a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, but you can be a 6. You could be a 7. You can be a 7.5 and get out there and do your thing. With that comes a relaxed confidence. It's when you want the job and you're eager, you're engaged, but you're not so tied up in the one job. You're confident that if not this, then something better. Be willing to get that no. Don't attach to one position. Just keep remembering that there's a job out there for you. There's lots of right jobs. It's kind of like house shopping. When you look online, you're like, oh my God, I love that house. I have to have it. And like, oh, that one doesn't. And we want these houses, this house, that house. And we want all these houses. And then, oh, they got sold. Oh, that was my house. How could you buy it? It was mine. When you do that, you get attached and you feel sad to something you never really owned. But if you're looking and you're like, oh, there are 20 houses in the neighborhood that I'm looking for, or there are 5 houses in this neighborhood, or there are 5 houses in this little town. I'll take any of them. When you feel that way, then you're more relaxed. You're not in so much of a rush, and you don't make irrational decisions. You keep your decisions squeaky clean. You keep focused. You stay the course. You keep your set of standards for the job that you're looking for and what you want, and know the right one's going to come up at the right time. That makes you more confident in your offer. You don't go crazy offering like, oh, 200 over asking, $1 million over asking, right? You don't go into crazy town. You don't promise things that aren't true. You don't promise skills you don't have. You stay honest and in integrity and in alignment with yourself. Okay. So those are the phases from pre-interviewing all the way up to landing the job. This is very comprehensive. We talk about it at an even deeper level. If you feel compelled to learn more information about how to work with me, either one-on-one or joining EPC for next year after you've landed that job, come on over to angelakellycoaching.com, work with me, schedule an appointment. We'll talk about which group coaching or individual coaching is the best. And if you're watching this live or you're watching this within the month of May of 2024, I'm offering a very special deal on one-on-one coaching because I highly value one-on-one coaching for very first year leaders. If this is your first school leadership experience, my experience with the coaches or the clients I've worked with over the last 7 years, I have found one-on-one to be the safest, most confidential place where they can come and they feel secure into sharing all of their thoughts, all of their emotions, all of their overwhelm, all of their questions in a safe, secure, confidential space with just me where we work together. I have some crazy deals going on for you that you'll want to learn more about. So if you feel compelled to learn more about the Empowered Principal program or what it would look like to coach with me either one-on-one or through the group, just go to my website, angelakellycoaching.com, click on work with me, schedule a consultation call. It's free and there's no obligation. You just come on in and we're going to have a chat. We're going to talk about what you want, where you're at, what you want, and how to get you there. And I'm going to give you the process from A to B. And we'll talk about if you'd like support with that through coaching. All right, my friend? Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for being here. It was so amazing to share this with you and work with you and to provide you with the tools. You have everything you need to land that school position. I look forward to hearing about all of your wins, all of your successes. Come into the Facebook group and celebrate with us at the Empowered Principal Emotional Support Facebook group. It's free. It's open to anybody who's a school leader. Come on in and let's get you started. Okay? Have an amazing rest of your day. Take good care. Bye.